What kind of gold-plated 3,000 thread count sheets are you sleeping on, Jack? Is this what you in Washington call belt-tightening during the tough economic times? Then you have William J. Jefferson, bribery. Americans were told that the stimulus bill needed right away, otherwise we're in danger, the whole thing can collapse. You remember that? A year later, how much have they spent of the stimulus package? How much have they spent? 1/3. Why? What are you doing with the extra 2/3? I told you weeks ago, the money is not meant to help anything, no jobs, nothing. It's going to help Democrats get reelected. Mark my words, look it up, 1934. It's a FDR trick. It's a DNC slush fund. They're about to rate it for the upcoming elections. And if it was really about jobs in the economy, they would have spent it by now. Oh, by the way, unemployment, because remember, we all have to fix the jobs. Unemployment number, he lost 4 million. 4 million jobs in his first. George Bush lost 3 in his last. This guy lost 4 million, and unemployment is 10%. It's great. So the Democrats have given us what? Really, the same thing, just more of it, right? And now the GOP is coming out of the woodwork. They're saying, remember us? We love small government. Really? Really? You think? Remember you. This is what you want. These are things you're trying to get fixed. And here are the choices. We've seen them. Small government and not so small government. Global warming, they're both going global warming. Global warming ranks dead last among the issues Americans care about. The climate bill, one of the most expensive pieces of legislation in the history of planet Earth. The way to pay for it? Green jobs. Spain's trying the green job thing. They now have 19.5% unemployment. For every green job created, Spain loses 2 other jobs. Doesn't matter. We're still headed there. And some of these guys will actually help. Let me show you what I showed you at the very beginning. Small government. Right? Republicans are small. Democrats are big. See, the problem is we don't have enough regulation. We need bigger, stronger government. No, no, no. The problem is we need a smaller government. Let me show you something quite amazing. They're exactly the same. Doesn't matter. It's the same. That's why you don't need something that curves right or curves left. No, no, no. You need to be an arrow. You see, the founders actually addressed all of these issues. All of them. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We don't have to. None of it. They have the system. It's set up. It works. We just haven't tried it for about 100 years. It's time to ask, what would the founders do? You remember those little bracelets, WWJD? How about WWFD? What would the founders do? On debt? Debt and spending? What do you say to this? This is Thomas Jefferson. We shall consider ourselves unauthorized to saddle posterity with our debts and morally bound to pay them ourselves. So in other words, you're going to pass it. Would you ever go and buy a car and then 20 years from now pass that car debt on to your children? Of course not. That's what we're doing. What do you say we point to the Constitution? On national security, I was just reading a book last night about Valley Forge, and Congress was so out of control and things were going poorly. And you know what Congress did to George Washington? They gave him the war powers. They said, yeah, you know what? You just go fight it. They declare war and then let the generals fight it. What do you say? Fight to win a declared war. On corruption, George Washington again said, we're a nation of laws and not of men. You get caught with bribe money in the freezer, jail. This isn't supposed to be some get-out-of-jail-free card. In fact, you're not even supposed to have a full-time gig in Washington. Salaries were supposed to be low. Today, if you work for the federal government, the average salary of the federal employee, this is mind-boggling to me. The average salary is $71,206. $71,000. How much is your salary if you don't work for the federal government? $40,000. How's that? They work for you. You are paying them this, and that doesn't even count all the six-figure jobs the government, that's actually increasing. And the people in Washington, they make I believe it's $179,000 a year. Working for you. We're paying them that. Our founders also said the time should be limited in office. But they didn't just preach it, they did it. People begged Washington to stay on as president. No, he stepped down. He said, I hope that others will learn from my example. Well, gee, they sure have. Charlie Rangel's been in office for 40 years now. What do you think we have all these problems for? Energy, global warming? Well, that sounds like science, doesn't it? Well, if we were going to just let the Constitution and common sense point the direction, we'd let the numbers speak for themselves. We'd start to use common sense. You know the solutions, America. We've tried the game back and forth. One of these parties has to get out of the game. One of these parties needs to step up and say, I get it. I'm no longer a progressive American party. Find the Constitution. It'll point to the founders. It's not the direction the parties are going. When they see things aren't working, they'll say, oh, we'll do it our way. That's what they're saying now. We'll do it our way. We'll change the system entirely. If you don't think they'll do it, you're mistaken. Because there was a nasty little quote that I read this weekend. Shows exactly how they're going to do it. They can't get it done through Congress? Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll show you exactly what it looks like when they do it their way. Next. Hello, Joe Klein from Time Magazine. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Glad you're here. Several months ago, I was warning Congress. You better wake up, because you're about to become completely irrelevant. This president now is taking steps necessary to remove them from the equation, I believe. Maybe you will now, too. It's happening. Ask Rahm Emanuel, White House Chief of Staff, who said, quote, we are reviewing a list of presidential executive orders and directives to get the job done across a front of issues. Wow. Okay. Executive orders, kind of a nasty little thing. Every president has the authority to influence policy without legislation through executive orders. Agency rulemaking and administrative fiat, he can do whatever he wants as long as he signs an executive order. Most times, it's okay because it really doesn't affect things. Sometimes it really does. It goes against the grain of the American people. George Bush did a lot of these things. They were wrong, some of them. Mr. Obama's success this week in pressuring the Senate to confirm 27 nominations by saying, you know what, I'm just going to appoint while you're on recess. That demonstrated the executive power that he has. He's going to leverage it to force action by Congress. I'm just going to appoint them. His own Congress won't do it. It's not like these are Republicans standing in the way. Obama has already decided to create a bipartisan budget commission under his own authority. Congress said, I'm not going to do it. His own Congress said they wouldn't set it up, so he signed an executive order. His administration has signaled that it plans to use its discretion to soften enforcement of the ban on openly gay and lesbians serving in the military. Why does he just asked for it. They're considering repealing the law now. What's the executive order for? The Environmental Protection Agency now moving forward with possible regulations on heat-trapping gases blamed for climate change, while a bill of cap and trade languishes in the Senate. Let me ask you this question. Mr. President, why the hurry? Well, I'll show you in a couple of minutes here. One of the leading global warming scientists admitted we haven't had any warming in 15 years. Gee, that sounds like breaking news. Maybe we should slow down on the global warming thing. White House Communications Director Dan Pfeiffer said, the challenges we had to address in 2009 ensured that the center of action would be in Congress. In 2010, executive actions will play a key role in advancing the agenda. Wow. I just didn't think that's the way the United States worked. You know what I mean? I just thought that representative government, so we would have the representatives, especially when they're in the same party as the president, that they would be able to get that through. Because what you're suggesting here of jamming through cap and trade, jamming through health care in an executive order sounds more like a, oh, I don't know, an emperor and a useless, powerless Senate sort of setup. You know what I mean? Kind of like Rome, circa 27 BC on. What's unique about the United States, Mr. Pfeiffer, is we have a constitutional republic. And I know it includes executive orders, but it also includes a series of checks and balances, you know, on any would-be ruler. The Obama administration is circumventing the system of checks and balances right now in gigantic ways. Even as the global warming hoax continues to be exposed and debunked, and again, more on that coming up in a second, the president is trying to hammer draconian measures through using executive orders. And now the EPA is pushing their way through. He'll get what he wants. Farmers in California continue to struggle with no water as the state focuses instead on the beloved Delta smelt.